Andy Craig, here. Mike Babbitt, Mike Priest, here. Ken Jones, here. Krista Hoover, here. Dave Blason, here. Tommy Sheridan.
Okay, we've got an agenda before us. Is there any changes to the agenda we want to look at?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've got an amendment to the agenda as presented.
Okay.
I would like to add under 6 miscellaneous business. I'd like to add a B for shipyard haul out and storage fees, a discussion relating to the South River rebuild project.
Any other amendments to the?
Second. You said that Ken's not.
Anybody opposed to amending the agenda? So we have an amended agenda. We can approve our amended agenda, right? You have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Second.
Any opposed? Minutes. Looking back, I looked through earlier. I thought, yeah, probably good of what our discussions were, and I see that the cost of storing vessels has come up before. So refer to that as we go. So, any changes to the minutes? Anybody notice?
No, we had a technical difficulty.
I see that. So I guess I need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second. Anybody opposed to the minutes? Just go down. Okay. Desserts again. Time, at least one line. Anybody there? We got Tony's report. It's like the harbor, they're busy. Here's somebody else.
Right, I just wanted to put on the auditorium.
Okay.
All right. So we scored the South Harbor project RFP submittals. We had 2, Kernigan, and then we had Pacific File. We went with Kernigan. They were the best value for what we were getting. But honestly, no one came within what we really wanted. So we couldn't have all the bells and whistles. We've been working with Kernigan, negotiating with them just to kind of get where we want to be. I've included some of the drawings on that. Let's see. The harbor project meetings. Went down to the expo. Aaron Roman came along and helped work the booth. It says John Platt won the 50% on Fallout raffle, and then after the holidays we'll do a local. You can put in for it. We've got your snowblower from Fairbanks. The only one left in Alaska. Let's see. As of today, it's actually 142 vessels listed. It's really good that we're still keeping our numbers up down there. I think the highest we've been, as we've had, is 157. The lowest has been like 120 around there. So maintenance on the skid steer, waiting on parts on that. some hydraulics leaks. Jerry Blackwell helped us with some maintenance on the travel lift. And we also drilled, we have an issue with the columns. They collect water, we loosen the bolts up. And so we got engineers approval and drawing from the engineers of the travel lift. We had to drill the 2 holes in our scuppers. Yeah, the scuppers in the travel lift. And I think they're 1/2-inch holes. So, one in each column that faces north. Yeah, we built a couple self-harbor floats, J&K, travel lift on transporter, shooting for late June. At the latest early July, they're telling me. We'll have it here, new transporter. Met with them at the show, at the expo. And let's see. Should be back and forth already. Well, how are you? So we're going to be next rendition of advertising and information for the South Harbor project. We're going to send that out with it, so people can fill out a form, send it in to us, tell us why, the reason they need to be still in the water or not in the water, so we can start prioritizing who's going to come out and we have enough space. Electrical work, gather trash. Environmental meeting with MARAD. Put up our Christmas lights. Meetings return again. Where we're going right now, we're going to have to ship out oil in the spring. School and everyone burn that. School's having some issues with maintenance on their boiler. They're just really busy. So right now we're pretty full on oil. We're not willingly taking any if we can help it. I mean, our collection areas are open. I didn't call this a lot. We're going to have to hold on to it. We have another 20 55-gallon drums sitting out that yard full.
Our big storage tanks.
Yeah, pretty darn close. And nothing more, the storage invoices, same thing. Move the extra dumpsters. Finish up budget and capital budget. Council passed the budget. Security for Samson bar drop loads, weed shop, and restroom things.
So our big idea to deal with the oil was to put up a facility that could be dealt with so it was more attractive, less maintenance for the people. And that was just too expensive. Wasn't going to happen.
No, we looked at doing a building so we could actually do a system where we could actually filter it out and centrifuge it and make it really nice, really burnable. Plus you would have a burner in that building.
Right.
And you
got burning our own.
Yeah, leave the doors open, we gotta keep heating everything. Our minimum bid on that was at a 30 by 40. I can't remember exactly the size of that building. It was $800,000 without putting centrifuge.
Still a good idea.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have the money we needed right now.
We know we've got other issues in front of us, so there's something not money about that. But acknowledge me that just for a little bit of processing, we have this tremendous resource that's a liability.
We could spend a lot of money to get that 20,000 there. All we do.
Luckily, we haven't been doing it on a regular basis.
Right, well, we've had a whole time here where it's been like, oh, maybe it's not.
What's really helped us in the past, well, I guess, when I first got here, we didn't have antifreeze collections ever. All the antifreeze went into the tanks too. That's a big camp. It doesn't work. So,
and then you leave it separate out that.
No, it doesn't. And then NBE started this antifreeze collection. We ended up taking that over once the grant money ran out. And that has definitely helped. Granted, shipping out antifreeze is a lot more expensive than shipping out oil.
What was your cost to ship out
I remember last time we shipped out 5,300 gallons was what, almost $20,000.
$100,000 $20 a barrel.
Right.
20,000 gallons.
Like $5.
In 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just, oh, well, we can't do it.
We have this money, it's like renting an apartment.
We have to
Get
finish
it
it
out.
We have to fix it.
If the school and the streets department is up and burning, we do a pretty darn good job. Issues with whether they have a tank, it's got sludge in it, and they start sucking that up, or, I know the streets department had a problem where the pipe, snow came out the roof and broke the pipe. They thought they would have an issue, and then they would get water in, and all these other things. What I'm saying, the school right now is just, maintenance guy over there is one-man show for the most part. He's just having a hard time keeping up right now.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he is good. He's the one that got that boiler back up and running. Josh, I don't know his last name, but.
You're strong.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think he's just been really busy, and I talked to Mel, we got busy checking on it. We'll get back, but we'll probably have to ship out some oil.
Might be cheaper to put you just put one.
Well,
There.
the pool too.
You can make hot water and stuff like this in the pool, and we're done. You're just moving hot water, you're not moving it.
I remember a few years ago, Ocean Beauty got rid of one. I always thought it would have been pretty cool to put it down here. You could have piped it into all three buildings, but it didn't work out at that time. But
Yeah, Ocean Beauty was burning it. They burned almost 20,000 pounds a year. Yep, I made it too costly.
Right, but we're the generators, so we can actually, and we can sell hot water.
Yeah, we can burn the oil, no problem.
Yeah.
As long as we do it in our entities.
Right. Still a good idea. Future item, we gotta bring it back up and come up with.
Oh, and another question I have is on that travel, we get a price on that?
397,000.
More.
Yeah, well, didn't buy a used one, because they decided not to sell.
Wait, this is 275.
Couple more dollars.
We have 5 new business. Review of the 35% drawings.
So the big drawings are the 35% that the tournament sent us. I think it's got most things we wanted. I can tell you the things it doesn't have. One of them is the installed fire suppression system, fire piping. That was I don't know if you remember what that was, calling for a price. Yeah. So for $1 million to put that piping in. So,
yeah, nothing.
so we'll do what we're doing now, but with more, a couple more of the big fire extinguishers.
Big fire extinguisher
Yeah.
station along the way.
Yeah, and then the dock will be set up to take a pipe if we get there. The problem is it's made in Buy America, and of course Buy America is really, really, really expensive. So if we get a grant later on, we could go with not one that doesn't require us to follow that. But it just
You're doing like all fire hydrants and the lighters. It has all the fire hydrants and all the batteries that are all over. They're installed after that. The house fire extinguishers down there.
So
Yeah.
that's
Page 7, just for the locations of those. Yeah.
So the 35% is
Yeah, I think on the back of your drawing, the big one.
What else
all
is not?
locations.
Oh.
Yeah.
What else is not? I got you.
Well, we're not getting Cordova like we were hoping along true bulkhead, new money. Which Cordova would have been up against where my office is, we built bulkhead there.
Is it bulkhead down there?
No, it's gonna be a, what do they call it?
Soldier pile.
Soldier pile dock that overhangs over the line.
It's like we call them HB, but it's just like an ID and pounding and cantilever parking lot.
What would have been, the mud rut's still coming out.
No, we're not doing, which is a huge advantage for two things. One, we don't have to get rid of the spoils, and two, we don't have to go through the same permitting process. So we're gonna have a parking lot, like that sticks over kind of way, Fisherman's Memorial.
Yeah, cantilever down.
Yep.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
Just to have
Yeah.
everybody know.
Yeah.
And further than that, or to that far?
It's gonna go a little further, because it's gonna get them off the road. You can see this,
Fisherman's Memorial's gonna be sitting back in a little bit.
not really sitting in, kind of incorporated into it. If you look at this drawing down at the bottom, you can see the parking now is kind of in front of the memorial. It'll approach on the side some.
You're saying they're gonna drive, you know, where the bottom of the riprap, and drive in an angle,
I think they're gonna go straight down,
just straight down.
as far as I know.
Is it 2 rows of parking?
No. Just one.
Well, right now they're off the road.
Not really.
Farther up?
Yeah, they're gonna go further.
The cantilever allows us to push further into the harbor.
Yeah.
And provide that parking, and then put them, stalls at 45 allows us to have more parking, safer parking, so we have 16 feet behind and an average size, full-size truck. Standard cab, standard bed. We have space behind them before they get in the middle lot, so they back up a little bit safer and at an angle, so you're not coming in perpendicular to the street traffic. And we're also running it all the way to the western riprap at the end, and we're also bringing it all the way back as far as we can towards the long track. So we're getting as much parking as we possibly can without building that goal.
I guess the question is, since we're talking about this, does that make it not feasible to have a little bulkhead?
No, it does not.
Or would it just be incorporated into that when we did that?
Yeah, because it can still come down the middle and they can still get a pile driver and everything in that area. So that was a question we did ask, because we didn't want to cork ourselves out of being a future project, so.
ODOT is possible.
Yeah.
Bulkhead possible.
Not just case
Millions of dollars.
dredging and
Right. Yeah.
Dig check.
Yeah. The other issue with dredging, I mean, much as we would have loved to be able to do it all, is that if you run into contaminated soils, you run into a whole other realm of issues.
One of the other challenges with bulkhead too is that modeling for what we have at 80 waves, 80 waves, in size, so if we pass the course test for so it is possible things continuous when we look at it, we really try to release on it.
So the natural,
No, you can do it, but you can do it. The Army Corps hates sheet pile.
because of the reverberation.
Right.
And they like to break up
Right.
the energy on the shore.
Yeah, but it's another whole part of the permitting that could go down a rabbit hole. So that was one of their big things when we had the environmental guy even came in and said that. When they came and inspected the breakwater years ago, we talked about that, like, you're not gonna sheet pile.
Fresh my memory on this ODOT thing, where was I gonna be?
That was gonna be up against the bulkhead, like where the parking is.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, but like, once we put the harbor in, you won't be able to do it, right?
Fine.
You can get anything in there.
It's open right there.
You can take a barge.
Oh, yeah. I know so. Yep.
What do we lose by losing over?
More transient. Yeah.
Do you know how many? I don't remember.
Don't remember this.
ODOT would have been, whatever the distance, ODOT would have been from the Fisherman's Memorial to the gangway to the west. That would have been this road.
About 800 feet, I think.
So wherever that is would be approximately.
Yep. Onside side.
So,
didn't count. We didn't count it in that our spaces for the right.
Spaces.
No. Yeah.
Well, the table now is up on both sides. On the one drawing, we had it, had that on the.
That was the original, that was the L.
Yeah, that was a different.
Yeah.
You detailed that.
Okay.
Half the slips.
Yeah.
So
Half the revenue.
another thing that
Price.
has changed in this is that the drive down float size is substantially smaller than what we
Right.
originally talked about. I know we already hashed this out earlier this spring. You know, I was actually pretty dead set on having that drive down be incorporated with the rest of the float structure. But I was kind of hoping that maybe the commission could reconsider that drive down placement, and reconsider what, was it Doug suggested of actually detaching the drive down from H float and putting it out to where there's a gap in between, so that way we can utilize all four sides of the drive down. Before I was actually opposed to that, and I actually, with the smaller drive down, I think it's more important that we utilize all sides of it, and I would like to see us maybe reconsider that, if you guys are amicable with that.
That 80 by 60 or 80 by 80?
80 by 80.
It looks like a square.
It is.
And then this is the drop down float kind of blown up, right? It's,
Yeah, that's it.
I also had some changes to on page 9 about some of the pedestals. They're kind of like placed right in the middle of the areas where you might be utilizing this dock. So I was hoping we could kick that back to them for alternative replacement or placement on the potable water, all season potable water, and the sewage pump out station, to not have them be in the unloading and loading zone.
oh, like tuck them in close to the drains or something.
Yeah, or tuck them.
Yeah.
One is the one for in the middle there.
That's the all season potable water.
Yeah, that's right in the middle.
I was kind of hoping we could stick them in a corner somewhere where they're protected by the bumpers, so that way pickup trucks don't hit them.
And the pilings, majority of things.
Yeah. But yeah, I know this spring we talked about not wanting to put that drive down, further out in the middle between H and the 3-stage because we were worried about it creating congestion. But now with the shrunken size, I think that it would be prudent to maybe reevaluate that because we lost 35 feet of width on that thing, and 35 feet could be enough to get access to that fourth side. If we just move it like 40 feet off the side of each float or something. Yeah, but you can still, if 40 feet's tight, but it would, right now, the way it's drawn, we're building a $5 million float and we can only access 3/4 of it. So
you're saying move the drive down to H?
no, just move it to the east by like 40 feet. It was, Doug had a concept drawing this spring when R&M was working on it that showed that.
Okay.
And I was like dead set against it at the time, but now reconsidering that we have a smaller floating fuel dock, it kind of changes my mind on that.
So it becomes an island essentially, not
Exactly.
Okay.
Look at that.
I would just say the grid would be my only concern. Actually,
Going down.
but we can model it and have it drafted and see what's possible.
Yeah, they had versions of it where it was further over before. So
But if you look at that ramp going down, if you pull that out 40 feet, you're going to be cutting across the grid.
That's the state dock there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can swing that crystal all the way in the drive down, and you swung over towards the grid, pull that out, that's all.
Well, yeah, Kenny and I talked about it, I mean, that is a concern. I don't know how much you can get over there.
I believe it, you tight.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, that is something we could ask the person about,
We would change, like, it looks like there's two connections, change those.
yes.
Yeah, kind of.
Like,
Well, that's
maybe
maybe
as
not.
wide as a cover part, connection.
I think we talked like 4 or 6 feet or something.
Yeah.
They're walking
Yeah.
to get from the.
Right.
Something there, so you can get the boat around here.
So we would have, maybe just.
Access that side of it.
Yeah, we're talking. So.
Doug suggested it.
Oh, yeah, for sure, I mean, that's what they're for.
I do like the connection between G-Flow. Would you just go to one longer one then?
No.
The two?
Couldn't have it at all.
Yeah.
I was like, you want to use it?
I was thinking disconnect it completely.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe have one of the, if you park your boat here, you have to left your gear there, you have to go around and come up and down the ramp.
Three quality mooring spots. 3.5 instead of 2.5 the other half. Like, 2 and maybe 1 on the backside.
And we'd also gain maybe a little bit more transient, maybe we'd have to red paint that part though, just to keep radius or turning ability, but I know in Valdez it's an island and it works well. That's right next to the floats, yeah. You know, the big boats park right next to
Yeah,
it.
but they're. Yeah, like, you wouldn't have to put much of a boat on G-Flow.
Yeah, so you might have to red paint that part of G-Flow, but you could still maybe.
Which comes out of them.
Well, you got to red paint more than that, like, it'd have to come back.
It would have to come back quite a ways. It would mess up, the approach would mess up.
Because you wouldn't be able to park near that either, if you still.
Yeah, I'm just saying we're building a really expensive float and we're not getting full use out of it. I was really, you know, when we talked about this in the spring, I was hoping that G float would tie onto the drive down so you'd still have access to all 4 sides. But that's not in this and doesn't sound like it's feasible. I know, you know, like in Sitka, they have their drive down, but then their float attaches to the corner of the drive down, and so you have access to all 4 sides still. But this one, we have a stall there and H float or G float. G float. That is including use of a quarter of our dock that we're spending millions of dollars on.
And I don't think they want to get too close to the corner with the ramps. It's hard to support, yeah.
It doesn't have to be square.
That's what Doug's version that he proposed in May had, but at the time it was 125 foot wide float, and we thought it was getting a little too close to the launch ramp, and now it's a 80 foot wide float. I just feel like that kind of changes things.
Yeah, I agree with Kenny saying, but we gotta figure out a good way to do it so it doesn't mess up.
We can bring it to my, 2 concerns with that. If you camp it a little bit, then you kind of either obstruct that gap in between G and or you get further into the grid. And then the other one would be, the further we push it over, the longer the transfer bridge is, which we shorten that up just due to cost and everything too. So, but we can talk to them about it.
Well, we got, how many feet do we have now off G float? How far does it stick out? Your whole airplane float, how long is that?
That's 135 feet long.
Right, so right now people are used to driving all the way around that thing that approach the grid. I don't think this is, we can't do it, but I don't think that's.
Yeah, I just mean if you can't, then you're going to bring it closer.
Right, but they've still got, you know, if this is drawn to scale, which I assume it is, they've got plenty of room, you know, you have to be a pretty mad driver.
You're not understanding where I'm coming from.
There you go, 40 feet or 50 feet.
Well,
If you can't that corner,
the grid's in the way if you're trying to use the dock too, not just using the grid.
Right, but.
I'm not talking it's sticking out this way.
Basically,
I'm thinking as you bring that corner, you
I
can't.
don't know if there's any 100-foot wide steamboats. And they're all
Whether I
25.
draw that. Yeah,
I think you can can it a little bit and pull it out a little bit and achieve what you're trying to do with that squeezing
I think,
approach to the 3-stage. You don't want to do
yeah,
that.
I feel like if we just line up the eastward side of the drive down with the existing footprint of the airplane float, you gain 50 feet between, because it's only an 80-foot dock, it's a 135-foot dock, so you have 50 feet of space between the west side of the drive down and H float, or G float. So, well, yeah, you just have it line up with the existing airplane float location. So, yeah, like that airplane float sticks out 50 foot further than what this drawing sticks out. So if you move it over 50 feet,
But also sticks north further than the airplane float right now. The airplane float's only.
So I'm saying, if you turn it a little bit, it's like Andy was saying, you don't want to get that drive down. It's gonna have to get longer, and you have to keep away from that corner. You gotta, isn't that, there's one crane on each corner, is that?
We're gonna go with 2.
Cause, yeah, 'cause you really can't use the one right next to the,
2 cranes total.
oh, 2, okay.
and I think that's more than sufficient. 2 cranes is great.
I think 3 on the, especially on the 80-foot float, is just too crowded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I almost, I'm going to say,
Well, the inside one, it's hard to keep.
The plan is to take that third one, put it on the 3-stage, and then rebuild the one on the 3-stage and put it on the city dock.
yeah.
This not.
I guess we're getting too heated in here.
Yeah. But what I'm saying about the, the airplane float being only 40 feet, say. This is it's double sticking out further, so it actually comes closer to everything else on that corner. So I mean, we'll have them go through it, look at it, see if it fits. We just want to make sure we keep them that fairway to the state dock and the ramp. No, preferably more, but no less than what it was. So
You know, Paris are coming here with the bar, you know.
you can't get there. It's got too big. Yeah, we don't want to congest that area anymore, but
I see the rotation though, is solving some of the problems of approach, increasing use. It would be interesting to see what they can do as far as you move it over, then straight move it over that far. If you're trying not to get the ramp to come in on the corner, or maybe it's better to waste more air.
You can always tell the state to get a chainsaw down there to make your dock about 40 feet shorter.
They own the land under their dock.
I wish we could.
I know, they don't ever use it, it just sticks out in the way, you know.
Well, that's,
Sometimes they have some.
Yeah, well, now they have their landing craft too, so they have an extra boat.
but the other thing, there was a couple other changes I would like to just have notes written down on, and
You already got your changes.
I feel like, maybe we can't afford it, but I feel like there's room for a couple more slips in this drawing from what I'm looking at. And,
Where?
the ends of an inn, like on the float where the ramp comes down, I feel like you could fit one more finger sticking out to the west there. But maybe not with the.
You need it for that turn.
Yeah, traffic coming through there.
I don't know. Yeah, but the only boats that are going in there are going to be bow pickers anyway. They're all 30-foot slips, so.
Hey, you're talking on the beginning of J?
And on K.
So it would be the beginning of I, is what I understood.
Yeah, because K is the ramp.
Yeah, right. So right next to that ramp, going to the west, you go.
Straight out. You're saying sticking straight out like the rest of them?
What do you want?
Can I see your pen? So like right here. So I'm going to fit one right here. I mean, I don't see
Okay,
it.
yeah, okay, I got you.
And then right here and right here. Because, there's a ton of room to turn in there if we don't have overflow, so.
I was not following you.
I don't know how the ramp moves it. When the track goes in and out, it comes. You know what I mean? So like it might be right in front where you put it on your boat.
Yeah, but
Tight.
that walkway shows it.
And it would just be parking on the one side or two spots.
It'd be 2 spots, one on each side.
Well, we could
It'd be interesting.
I feel like we could get 6 more stalls in there, right there. I don't know. Something to look at anyway.
Yeah, well,
that's 3 more slips
the
we're
only
gonna pay
one
for.
Oh, but I was saying,
against was the one right at that.
We're not scabbing on the old one.
I think we can just take some of these nice restored old ones and just scab them on.
Baling wire, duct tape.
No, great. And get some concrete floats in there mixed in.
So the only one that I would have, I think the other two, the 2 that are off J and K are pretty. I don't understand why we would. That's worse, but I can see an argument for the one between N and I, just in the back corner, because it might be busy there, but.
And there was one other thought I had about that. So if you didn't want to put them sticking east to west on those corners, then what about north-south? And that way it's a hip-up stall. So that way it's not sticking out quite as far. But you can still fit a boat around that corner.
Well, right now you can on K float. That's right where, what's this?
Yeah, you won't get around it, but.
He goes in there all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, well, no, I mean,
I don't know. It's showing at 74 feet wide, so I feel like there's plenty of.
Back into the bank.
I mean,
well, Newers is a terrible driver if he gets out there.
He wakes up water. Oh, you mean to run the lights around the ground and the helicopter mouth?
So Kenny, you're talking like by the other option you were thinking is by the ends, 2 letters end there?
yeah.
And just try and make it a little shorter or something?
So you can either run them, pointing at each other east-west, or depending on how we space
The other ones?
those other floats,
Okay.
if you get another one going north-south, then you can hip up a guy there and have a stall on the
I got you.
riprap side.
Maybe you make a couple of stalls further down the line, a little bit narrower.
Or something. I mean,
All the time, they have to make some changes for the people covering material, build and stuff.
We got a little time.
this is like the last chance to make any changes.
This is probably your last chance on that. But we got time to make these.
5% by February 10th.
Yeah. So we can have one more on the corner pretty much every stuff.
Yeah, I ordered all the stuff, you come back and say, all right, I need another.
We're not doing that.
Here's another $500,000.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
It's just,
This is, I mean, we can have another one in February or January, and then it's gonna be, I really wanna try to get it hashed out as much as possible now.
that way you can pull a house or you can start adding things as we started.
We're not adding because we don't have money to add anything.
Nope.
We're
It's almost
just-
a the day.
Right.
You guys might have heard this in the discussion, why they set this up, but on G-Float, they have the pilings on the inside, so G-Float kind of pushes, the wind pushes it onto the piling. On every other one, they have the pilings on the upwind side. Is there a reason for that?
You can't have them on the other side on G float because that's the transient.
I know,
So
but on the other ones, you could have it on either side. And it seems like it'd be better to have the wind pushing you onto the pilings than pulling you away from the pilings. If you can put the pilings wherever you want, maybe there's a reason they can't.
I haven't asked that question.
Or maybe they don't.
I think currently on they're on the inside.
They are on the
Yes.
They are on the inside.
So I believe, I'm gonna guess at the reason, they're following what we have now. There's already pilings there, so they know that they're good, that they can actually put them in those places. But we can ask that question.
Well, Andy's right though, when all the pressure is this way on those docks.
That's right, but, usually, I don't know if I'm like, oh, nice.
That's what happened now.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad.
Come back to life. Oh, shit.
Another thing that I was curious on is the size of the pilings on the teed off floats on the end. So one of the things that why I pushed for those tees so hard is because I want to be able to park a couple of big boats out there. And I'm just not sure if the size pile that they're proposing is going to be adequate for large vessel moorage. Maybe if we just upsize those very end piles. And now's the time to make that change if we're going to make it.
Is it on H and I?
On H, I, and J, and K. Well, I guess, yeah, H, I.
They're 24 inches, I believe. The black ones are 24. The 18. They're all 18 inches.
Those are pile on each end of the slip and the main pile on the dock.
The blacks over those are 18 and the clear over. That one was 16.
Or about the ones with like the X in them.
Those are 12s.
Yeah, so I was just, looking at that, thinking if those were changed to be all black ones, it might be better for parking bigger boats out there.
You're saying the T piles. Where are you reading the filing?
On the side.
So I know it's calling those, but I put the ones with the smaller piling are a shorter. So what size boat that's there.
It's taking 6, I guess.
The 40.
Black dogs are all 40.
Yeah.
And all the white ones are different.
It says right here 48, 40 by 40 stall floats at 35 foot clear spacing.
Yeah,
Much smaller. Each side of the eye is larger.
Well, with the one piling with cross, they're 12-inch. That's definitely smaller than the adjacent slip. It's much longer than the current.
Yeah. I was just thinking like that H and I and J, maybe not J, J might be too tight, but I and H in particular, that's somewhere, that's 100 and something foot of flat parking, so you could park like a Bering Sea crabber out there, but you've got to have pilings to support that, and now's the time to make that change. I don't feel
It
like
would just be one pilot we'd be changing, just the outside.
yeah, just upsizing the pilings as big as we can get to make sure we can park some big boats. Like I would really like to, I guess I'm thinking like if Romehill ever brings the Labrador here, or if Bisvac brings the the Alaska Challenger back, we don't really have a spot for those size boats. So that's why I was so adamant on having T's on the end, is it just gets us a couple of 100-foot slips.
Well, my opinion would be, I don't know what it's gonna cost. If you stick 2 pilings at the end of like H and I inside the float, or closer in at the fronts of those each. Because it has 4 total out there.
Yeah, so
I didn't catch it when you were kind of like, no, I'd rather see 2 more piles out there for big boats.
yeah, so I'm not an engineer. I don't know what size piles need to be where, but that's just something I want them to look at. And I think that
I know they did a wind loading and everything else.
yeah,
So.
I just really want that like outer H and outer I float to be able to park big boats that we don't have currently in our harbor.
Yeah, each slip has piling both sides plus the row down the dock. That's a lot of structure. But like you were saying, that's a tiny one on the eye.
Yeah, because
Right.
that's a 90-foot berth there, you could put a
You
90
made
footer.
that one piling at the very end bigger on the right hand side.
I just really, that's something I've heard from a lot of members in the community. You know, Greg Myers mentioned it, Earl Mills mentioned it, a bunch of people that we don't have any place to fit bigger tenders. So I know it's not much, but having 2 spots where we can fit those big boats, it would be really great if it's just as simple as changing out a piling or 2. Right now,
We have to get rid of the other stalls you want.
Yeah, I would ask, maybe not to answer right now, but just prioritizing, so we've got the drive down flow.
Rotate,
We've got
rotate, yeah.
the addition of berths, slips, floats on J and K. And then we've got increased pile size.
Yep.
Increased pile size or additional pilings or additional.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's well, I know it's more expensive to drive a pile, so you're gonna drive a bigger pile or drive more piles, it's gonna be more expensive to drive more piles. Right. Than just drive a bigger pile. So, I mean, we can work that out, but just understand like, what would be your preferences, you can think about it, split our time. Like our distance, like, well, we can increase the size of H and get you 3 more additional slips. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, you either take all increased pile size, or we can do the drive down plus H dock, increased pile size, that kind of thing. So I don't think it's an answer you could expect tonight, but something to think about in the next meeting. You know, and we'll bring the answers like, this is what it's going to cost, or it's even money, which one do you want? You know, so something.
yeah, I don't think we need to increase all the pile sizes, just the ones right on the T.
Yes, no, agreed. But, you know, as you add it up, you know, what do you want? Like, you could get additional berths and bigger piles for the cost of moving and drive down, that sort of thing. And we'll bring that data and say, hey.
Well, I don't feel like, I mean, is moving the drive down going to cost anything more? I mean, it's
Make the road longer, make that ramp.
depending on how you angle it.
Those things are expensive, stretching that out is bucks.
Yeah, but if you just angle it the right way, you shouldn't have to make that thing any longer at all.
Yeah, I don't know, right now, I don't know, but that's the kind of thing we'll think about, bring that information.
They'll have to draw that out, see how much of an angle they get, but still using that or not, you know.
You don't want it to like,
Because we could turn it,
no accidents.
yeah, we could turn it 90 degrees and I think you are, but we can bring that to them to figure out.
Yeah, they'll
It's cheaper to change it now, that's for sure.
And yeah, there's no point in not talking about everything and then we have to prioritize and say. I have to agree with Kenny on H and I, like, whether the pile size is enough or not, it's gotta be strong enough to park a big ass boat out there and not have 8-hour thing. I don't know what the wind loading formula was that figured it out, but gotta be strong enough. Is and G also we talked about that as being beefed up enough in transit boats so that we can actually let a bigger boat come in. So all boats are just talking come in and short so G was designed for what, 110 feet?
We've had big ones up on it, probably bigger than we should. So we've had, well, the ferry was 130, whatever.
The length of tonnage too.
Right.
Yeah, windy.
Sail area, sure, sail area and weight.
Yeah.
With that, you know,
Those like those aluminum ferries that don't weigh anything, and they have all this windage with that smack. And light boats get movement, they get momentum where heavy boats kind
How did they time up right?
of. So I'm confused. I'm trying to read the top of my pile schedule and I've got a pile that looks like a bullseye, and what is that saying after? There it is.
16 feet, 3/8.
16 feet,
Crystal cheat, she's got glasses.
Yeah, even with glasses, it's very blurry.
Yeah,
It's a 16-inch pile.
and then 3/8 probably material.
That's where they,
Okay, and then what's the circle? 18?
it's like 60,
It's like another 16?
half inch.
Oh, half inch. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the big one.
The
Yeah.
hole is 16 and half inch pile,
And the full black?
18 half inch. And then the one with the crosshairs is, looks like 3/8.
24 by half. Oh yeah, that crosshair one is 16 by 3/8.
16 by 3.
And the triangle is 24 by half.
That one's 24.
On the right now.
It's rough.
I took a picture of it too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
I dumped my photo.
I'm sure it's
Sure,
awesome.
no problem, hurts there.
How are they seeing how big the problem
I'm trying.
And I guess just wanted to double check that the potable water and the sewage pump out didn't get lost with all my other changes. So, yeah, no,
I
okay.
think so. Hold on, make sure.
I just think
Yeah,
that
I
they're
do.
somewhere in the corner by a pipeline
I
protector.
got arrows to move. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it doesn't matter to them if they put islands on inside of boats. Might get. Well, and like G now we have the piles up there built into the wall. Oh, right, that's the law, let's keep it together, because there's still some nice development material down there that's spanned out. Yeah. There isn't much left to that, besides those.
I know.
So. Okay, so, thanks you guys, there's a lot of stuff there.
Is there, how much cost is there with doing that cantilever parking? I mean,
It's the cheapest option you get other than just keeping the parking the way it is. So it's substantial. I don't know numbers in front of me, but substantially less.
and is it gonna have, I mean, I guess it would have to have a boardwalk with a railing on the outside.
Yeah, you can see it. It's the little square. So in front of the parking stalls, there's those little squares. That's a 6-foot walking path with a railing that goes runs the full length of the parking.
So we get a little curb stop or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna drive over.
Or those plows to the harbor.
And so how far does it push that, the parking in? Towards the harbor?
We're gonna get 17 feet from the road.
I thought 16 to 17.
Yeah. I mean, we can afford it. We were gonna bulk it, we were gonna go up quite a bit for it. Because if you dredge, you end up with a lot of extra water. Right now, that toe, yeah, not great.
But it has wave insulation.
Is there any way we can still incorporate a food truck somewhere?
Are you gonna run a food truck down there?
No.
I mean, you're assuming that someone wants to do that.
Yeah,
So,
we've got two that are gonna be displaced in the next year.
drive down.
And there's no guarantee that anyone stays in business. I mean, how many food trucks have we seen in Cordova?
Yeah.
That are here for 1 or 2 seasons and the person gets bored of it and moves on to the next thing.
They can go sit in the parking lot.
I was just gonna say, if I can.
Well, why can't we have a plug-in for them at a spot? I mean, it doesn't really cost much more.
Well, it takes away our parking numbers. Which is a Marriott requirement to have, say, something.
You know, the only real spot that's would make sense is right in front of the Bishop Memorial to the south there. That's where you want to park something in the memorial. But
Right.
That's a free
Yeah. Trash truckles are trashing up as it is.
But maybe it's the perfect spot.
Yeah, it's got picnic tables and lots of.
I think it's, we have talked about it, but that fixed. noting that was a big change.
The reason we put that in is for a keying area for the, loading dock, the drive down dock, to allow people to get in and out, only one way at a time.
So is that gonna be
That's gonna be a
wood fixed dock? Or is that like a sheet pile and gravel fill?
That's wood, that's all. I was gonna say, it's gonna be. Cantilevered and probably a pile underneath it, right?
That's the each pile we talked about, that's what supports that.
That's, looks pretty darn big.
And that's really the cheapest way of doing it?
Yeah.
It's cheaper to get bigger there than to have longer ramps. Well, if you made that smaller, then you'd have to have your bridge to the drive down longer and your ramp to.
The issue we ran into, and I don't know the price on making that little place, that keying area, whatever you want to call it, smaller and making the bridge longer, which one saves or costs money. But is to try to get people off the road as they're waiting to get down there. Our road's busy enough as it is. If we just leave a place where there's 3 pickups sitting there, 1 or 2 will get out of the way and get over on that dock while they're waiting for that next person to come up out of there. We anticipate the drive down to be pretty busy. And not with people just transiting. No.
You're asking that though, Andy, because if we made it down a little longer, maybe even drive down the road, we wouldn't have to increase the size of it.
I think you were saying make the place smaller and make the drive down ramp longer.
I just thought it was curious is that it was as large as it is a wooden dock. I don't really have not against it.
At least when you're building a house, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, just still drive a pile under it or 8 pile and stuff, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if we
It's an impressive
structure making that farther out. So in that, that's something to ask them. You probably have to cut it back a little bit under the ramp, so the ramp wasn't like this, it looks like.
Yeah, and currently the walk ramp, the main stationary ramp, let's just say, goes past the grid. So this one doesn't really get too far past the grid. It's fine. Yeah, it's just a lot wider. Anyways,
So our ramps, Tony, it would be really awesome if the cart wasn't going over the little
That
ramps.
slows you down at low tide.
It drives me bananas, so it'd be neat.
Alright, so you want bars wider, so it goes over.
I think Colin is.
And more bars.
Just go faster. Just kind of place it random spots.
That would be really nice if the carts, they would pull the carts up and down that sucker without having to.
Oh, I see.
That's an entirely carts, I mean, you get 2 or 3 deer doing those things.
Don't put 2 or 3 deer.
6 to 8 batteries in the base of the thing.
200-pound freaking.
It's just something for easier.
It will be wide.
That's what I'm saying.
It will be wide.
Yeah, we don't need as much parking. It's only off by this much.
It's just enough. And high tide doesn't really matter. Low tide.
One wheel and take a brake part.
So what are all the, there's like some dots in some of the parking spaces.
Handicap.
Okay. And then,
Is that by law? It's like, wow.
You even have to have them in the harbor.
Can we make a handicap loading zone? Kind of make a combined thing?
Where?
Like on these spots. Okay, so we don't have very many handicapped people that use the harbor. Great that they have spots. I'm wondering,
do not believe so. I believe it has to be handicapped. By law. Stalls, we have to have stalls.
And we have to have 7.
Figure that out, but let's look it up again. I don't know if it was 7 or 5, it could be 7.
Cause I like it's nice to have the 30-minute limit, because there's a lot of times where you just want to unload something and get down with it. There's people that have been there for a long time.
Yeah, I kind of feel like
a couple slips.
having them all, and maybe this is splitting hairs because it's as simple as moving a sign later, but having them all right there between the Fisherman Memorial and the dock, that whole thing gets blocked off for all handicap parking. And I feel like if we peppered them in elsewhere, like by the grade ramp, and maybe on the other side of the, have one on each side of the dock, one on each side of the grade ramp, like we have on the K-flow ramp, that might be a better distribution.
They have to be sold. Yeah, I don't know. We can ask that question.
Yeah, and actually, maybe we can track it down. It's better, but I look for people over on the ramp. It's much easier to do with the wheelchair person there, so having a wheelchair parking spot over that lot anyway, that's a nice spot for.
Yeah, we never wanted to.
Yeah, no, that.
They will be ADA up and
Get
down.
on the grid real quick and hop on both.
I take them over there.
I don't know if we have users.
A few.
How much would it be to add a electrical plug and a water spigot up on that fixed dock? In case somebody wanted to run a hose over to a food truck parked by the Fisherman's Wharf or something. I mean, we're already in there working. It's just having another spigot. We already have electrical and water running through that dock. I could run a plug. You could park over by the Fisherman's Wharf and just run a garden hose over and have water and power. And we can rent them the hookup.
So the general fund gets that
Slide
money.
across the road in front of where AC is at. With all that parking there, we can still just stop.
Right now, we have
Yeah, I was just thinking somewhere where it'd be like a cheap little addition to, let's just put a hose spigot here. It's not going to be like a huge reburying a water line or something, but it would be convenient for a small operator to start up a business or a current business to relocate.
I'm pretty sure.
No, I just
Let's
wanna-
do that, just know that it's been on the pressure around.
There's a few that have stuck around, gens,
Well, that's how on harbor cycle started too. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, right.
I put it in my notes. We can ask that question.
I just want to walk up the dock and get a burger. Right?
I mean, we're talking like a.
AC is the killer.
I know, I go there all the time.
I love it. Probably not very good for you, but.
I don't know, I have fond memories. I can't remember the guy's name, but he had a little hot dog cart right in front of Safety Lots when I was a kid, and it was the shit. It was awesome. Safety Lots, NBE.
Yes.
Oh, that was, what was his name?
So, are we talking like just a 50 amp outlet?
Yeah, 30 or 30 amp, and then a little garden hose
You just
spigot.
need 110 power for that.
I don't think so, with the fryers and stuff.
Well, it depends on,
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, but whatever. But just, we'll bring the question up, power and water.
I just know that in the original drawing, when we had the sheet pile bulkhead, there was a spot in there when we submitted for the grant for 2 food truck stalls and something that we lost. And I was just wondering if there's a way we could get one back.
The crew gets cheeseburgers,
Yes.
discount or
One
something.
of the things that came forward in the comprehensive plan that I was part of was the committee of what we heard was they want public public access to the waterfront. They want the boardwalk thing. They want mini parks. The public wants to be near the waterfront. You know, people with young kids like me want to have the kids come down to the boat and eat lunch and then go back down and work on your boat. So just trying to make sure that that gets captured.
And don't we also have a little mini park somewhere right here? Don't we have like on the other side of the road? We've got a picnic table and like
We do.
or something like
That's
that.
the harbor's flagpole and tables we had a prisoner, of course.
Maybe
community service.
we have 2 picnic tables.
And there's picnic tables at the memorial.
That's the veterans.
No, that's
No,
we're
no,
talking,
it's
talking
on the end.
right at the drive into the harbor office.
It's just, it's not very big, it's like a little pocket.
Some people eat lunch there once in a while.
That might be.
I mean, it was
another
awesome.
spot where somebody could, like, that'd be MDE's lot right there, but that would be, I mean, that might be something.
They did have soup. They did have soup and sand there, and it was awesome.
But I do remember people wanting more access.
We talked about lighting in the harbor at all?
What's that?
Lighting in the harbor?
Yeah, it's gonna be, for the most part, all pedestal lighting.
So we're gonna have like,
We have lights.
as is pitch,
There's
flipping
like
black.
lights, there's like
There's
three lights, there's three lights, man. There's three
Pitch
lights.
freaking black down
Just
there.
think how much you're saving in your stall rent because we don't have a big electrical bill.
All I know is when I roll in the dark during deer season,
It's pretty dark.
it's pretty dark.
Yeah, the night vision does not go away, does it? I do remember someone complaining about lights on the Breakwater Mill, they would not be able to get in the harbor. They were talking about building a hotel.
I'm talking about lights in the harbor. Like, I've never been in a harbor with one of lights.
We have lights, we have something.
We have no times lights.
That too.
Yeah, Mayflow is black.
Yep.
Black as
The one on the very end comes on every once in a while.
So what about putting a crane on the fixed dock? Okay, just not gonna be built to that spec.
Owner of the big stock you're talking about?
Yeah, if we move the ramp over a little bit and put a crane there, the pedestrian ramp.
Okay. Yeah, you wouldn't get a lot of, you'd have to be a high tech then.
Oh, is it, okay.
It's hanging out over mud, so I mean.
We're not doing any, nothing comes out pretty much as far as the current law. Fixed law. What it looks like to me by lining up.
What the approaches already are.
Yeah, it comes out that far. Yeah, I can walk around all the time.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, no, you can come down this way.
In the back of this pedestal stuff. Just basic stuff. No, got it.
I was wondering, that was like,
I do, they are not. Pedestals are like 4 feet tall, they're stainless steel.
Yes, I was gonna ask you that. It's stainless steel hardware too.
yeah, I had to read meters today.
Yeah, they're worried about them long.
Yeah, they're not like floor.
Do they,
Never know, you never ask.
Well, we made sure
They're
that I
gonna
told them,
save money, but.
even when we first started the design, I told him he was doing that, so we are not one of those cheesy like
Electrical's got our dirty lights and everything else kind of.
Yeah,
The pilings too, the pilings are.
everything's good.
are the top of the pilings gonna have seagull cones?
Most likely, I don't know about that. Yeah, we have a 50-year lifespan, the only one we had to bend on was the electrical components. There's just no way that. That's all. We're, right, but, I mean, if you gotta change them every 15 to 20 years. Me either. But we'd like to pass up on this.
Okay.
Is there a reason why the stalls are on J float? Seems like all the other floats are pretty much straight across from each other like they are right now, but on J they are. Is that like on purpose or?
We talked about that.
If they're slightly offset?
Just feel like they're a little narrower between slips.
Okay.
Yeah, cause they're bigger on one side, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah, all on K are exactly the same.
Those are Valkyrie slips.
J,
Yeah, cause like when you get to,
50,
on what?
1 foot, 2 inches between on the, read that.
You said J.
And move east to west.
You said J is 1, 2.
And the west side is,
I thought you meant the fairway, I'm like. That's between each stall.
finish saw, I see it on the one side, but I don't see it on the other. I was just trying to read it. Quite a bit narrower.
Now, one more thing I noticed, and this might be split hairs, but on the grid, it doesn't show that walkway being connected anymore. I think
Good point, yeah. You can pick that one.
to the fixed stock.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Currently, it has a connection.
Right.
This picture doesn't show that.
Yep. All right.
That is handy.
Yeah, I feel like we get a lot of.
I like it all the time.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh,
Yeah, that expanded metals.
grid trestle.
We're saving some money, you just gotta jump.
That's not far.
Guys down there on mountain bikes are ready to get kind of killer spot where we can go after with the handrail we're doing about that part. Jump over this tree.
K float does move over a little bit, so it is a little bit more against the breakwater.
It scooches
Yeah.
east just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, we took the measurement from over at the north side.
So you can still,
Yeah, it's the same as, basically the same width as A, it's actually 2 feet wider than between A and the other side is. Those are 32 foot stalls.
but it's narrower than it currently is.
I'm trying to get only like 4 or 5 feet, so to get that further away from breakwater and that tunnel to breakwater.
That's when you're hooked up to some crap. You're trying to get into their stuff.
Well, there's some guys who do the serpentine driving, like I can drive my boat in a straight line. Not everybody can do that.
That may be easier for everyone to get in this all.
You just gotta wait on the part first. That's all right, 54 feet. I think the guys that are on the other side are gonna appreciate that.
2 valve figures and wide ones. Only half that.
So are these slips a little longer than our current slips?
Yeah, K float on the west side or the 32 foot stalls. 30 and then.
Aren't they all JK, aren't they all 32s?
In the same
K now?
No,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I'm talking about in this new drawing.
I was trying to see that.
J is wider on the east side. I mean, longer.
40 foot slip.
Yeah, 40.
40 foot slips over there.
Yeah.
32 on the inside. Here, 30.
There are 24s down on the west side.
What about the end flows? Those are 32s in this drawing?
There should be 30s.
Oh, in.
Yeah.
Practices 4 through.
Well, that probably happened.
You're an old word.
we make the font just a little blurrier.
Well, if I brought my glasses, I can see just fine.
I'm not sure.
I need
swear
a
I've done
second. So
pretty
they
good.
moved this 30 foot slip, is what you're saying.
No. Okay, at the top of K, I'm reading 26 4 by 32 stall floats at 30 foot pier spacing.
32 feet long.
32 feet long, there's 30 feet in between.
Yeah.
So,
There's 26 of them on that side.
and then it's the same on the other side, and then
Yeah.
you can see that the stalls are longer on the other side of J. Somewhere there 40.
Yes, it's 4 by 40 stall float.
4 by 40, there you go.
Yeah. That's what you asked for, it's 46 feet big.
48, 4 foot by 40 stall floats. 6. And then that main fairway down the center.
74
Oh.
by 6.
The J and I is 70.
That's like, I mean, I guess what are they counting? They're not counting the width of the island.
Every foot.
It's like about 7.
So the slip's got a little bit longer, they're currently about 30 or
Yeah.
I know my boat sticks probably that far out. You are charging me for that.
I'm 30 feet, 90 feet, right? Sure, separate.
I could drive it up on the dock, fix that problem.
I don't know.
Anyways, I'm just saying,
Yep.
it's nicer to have it longer.
Yeah, we made everything on J,
For
K,
tying up.
and I.
You know, it's
We can have 3 cleats on each side. 2 cleats.
But big cleats. And,
Oh, come up there, straight up and down, and you can't really get across the board.
like,
Well, I have buoys, so it holds me off a little bit so I can tie.
You look like your way to go up again, straight up and down.
you drawn, Andy?
well, I just got done
It's a
driving.
castle.
Looking at
Sorry.
harbors, and I was surprised how many of them had, because, you know, they could, oh, they just had 3 pilings that you threw a line over, and then you back up, and your slip was actually really short. It was just enough to get on and off.
Those are pukers though, right? Those are pleasure boats.
There was a lot of those.
Yeah. That would work too good for my boat. Yeah, no.
There's a lot of that going on.
Something that we
And
can
a
do
lot of
for bigger
sawtooth
boats.
posts, a lot of sawtooths where you drive down and the stern of your boat is accessible with your truck. And just, there's no figure, really, just a little bit of a thing. And then,
European style.
Mediterranean board, yeah.
yeah, anyways, I was surprised. I was like, oh, that would save quite a bit of money. But then we have this main thing.
Line catch on the island.
We might be doing that.
That's what it used to be, you know, and
That's how it goes out.
we're getting off the hook.
Yeah, we definitely have it good having the full length
That's something.
No, I like that.
setup, very nice and convenient.
I haven't seen a place in Latin this short.
Wasn't it 50, it was 40. It was 50, I remember. That's on the boat side of that.
Really?
Was there anything else that we're
That's what-
missing that's important? That we
Well, I mean,
So we-
fire extinguisher.
We've got 2 more meetings, and then we're done talking about our design.
We would have that, yeah, we could.
Really,
So-
kind
We
of
need
one more.
January.
So, yeah, really one
Really,
more.
January.
Yeah,
So it was,
we could call a special if we absolutely had to, but probably we get it
it's
half.
good that we took a little extra time. Well, I'm hoping we're not missing anything.
Well, that's what I was asking him, is, he said there were some things that went by the wayside because it was a little smaller than he wanted. So, what were some of those things?
Well, the bulkhead was pretty good. Yeah, that was huge.
Covered anyway.
Yeah, covered anyways. covered the roofs and the fire, installed fire system.
Covered gangways was kind of a bunch.
$250 million. Yeah, ridiculous, yeah.
It'll withstand the wind. Probably move something up. I look at this like, it's not that big of a loss considering you still have to walk another 800 feet to the boat in the rain, so 80 feet not gonna matter.
Are we talking like expanded metal access? I mean, those things aren't as bad as like solid floor.
And it won't be a solid floor.
Well, we don't want it too spoiled.
We don't want to be
Well,
those
you
northern
know,
Ireland guys.
yeah.
What else? What other things come to mind?
Other than building materials and things like that, the concrete and timbers, right, things like that. Our guardrails, materials used in guardrails, a lot of cost savings. How to get some volume, things like that that most people wouldn't know. Wear rates on those are fine. Ultra-high flexible rates better, of course, just denser. But the HDD those are the cost savings. They're really not immaterial, but they're just jump out at you. But those are the trade spaces that we had to cut back on costs.
Yeah, and I guess if we see something that's wearing, install a pad of HW or something like that, which is usually more brittle. That's a little bit free.
Yeah, we could have just gone with lumber. We had that discussion today, and I mean, it's in the budget already. HDPE, go with it. I mean, it doesn't rot.
So the HTP is like tile hoops are lined with it, or
Ones like your finger flows, you have the what we call the splash boards. Those will be on
HTP.
That's what they talk about today. So
And that's like got the inset for the fastener, and so it's a little bit.
it won't be how the fasteners and rods. White or yellow on the other.
Right now, what we have, yeah,
The tubs, the flotation tubs.
They're gonna be poly tubs.
Yeah. So you get a lot more,
Over time, they sink, you're lower and lower.
a lot more flushing under the docks too.
Well, there will be gaps in them. Just solid, poly tub.
Like, what would be water?
Yep.
where's the water from there?
These are 20
Yeah,
20
so
inch
it's
rates.
only in there.
So it goes up on top of those poly floats there.
Yeah, it's gonna be inside the dock.
20-inch freeboard.
Yeah.
What do we have now? 10.
Yeah, maybe.
So
Depends on the day.
support.
You know,
It looks taller.
There was boiling water there right by the ramp a couple of years ago.
oh, I know. Not like baking equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay, they got a diver.
Right, yes.
You sure, Tony? Yeah, get in there.
You're fine, lady. That's Mark.
One question, did they give you guys any idea, I'm looking at this map with the specifics, with the little tubs, where the water line would be?
It's a 20-inch freeboard, so that's an 8-inch board, right? Side board, 20-inch freeboard.
But I mean, you know what to do with all that.
It'll be interesting, I think that Kenny brought up, and what made me think of it was all the spaces between should help our flushing, because right now we have all these barriers put down.
Yeah, you get this nice black.
Yeah.
And
Black
fill around your hole. Immediately, those harbor guys that are down there doing their jobs, doing the permits and polishing.
About pumping and filtering.
I'm thinking more of like the big foam wads in
In the corners, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna need the ground fault isolation boxes our boats.
Well, everything's gonna be set up with the code, which is a microwave or something. There's gonna be issues with that.
Might be something that we need to get out to the fleet sooner rather than later. That hey,
Well, they had issues, only the wiring on the boat is not wired correctly.
correct. Mine's good. Like on the surrounding settlement, it's easy enough to install one of those isolation transformer things.
So you're saying that we need to make sure that people understand that this is every single problem because we got new power on the top.
What can
The
make
receiver is going to be.
I can make it where when they plug in, when they pull into their stall, it doesn't work because they need to rewire their boat.
Or add a piece to their system.
Yeah, that's how it is in Sitka. It's like if you take and, if you park in one of their stalls and you don't have this special transformer, the breaker just trips. And so I've got one on my boat, so I can park anywhere in Sitka, including all their new flows and stuff. But like James, he doesn't. So when we pulled in, he could only park in like certain stalls, and they were able to accommodate him. But it's just something that we need to tell people.
Yeah, I got that down. Electrical GFCI users. Get some from the manufacturer that kind of explain.
Yeah, and
You could
so
probably, so you're talking short power here.
Yeah.
Not the factory board running here.
right, just for somebody who wants to plug into the 30 amp or the 50 amp twist locks, it's gonna have to have the ground fault protection.
You just want to go down and switch it over to short power.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
trip regular.
So more of a same boat and a tender problem than going into a lot of guys just use extension cords.
I got 3 amp. It's nice to go down there when it's 80 degrees.
Whole thing came up with fresh water. It loses the current, it goes to the least resistance, so it goes into the water because it floats around the water. If there's a short somewhere else, it follows that. People jump in, happen to like marinas and stuff, they get electrocuted. A decent amount of people have died from fresh water. Not such an issue in salt water, because salt water doesn't get back to electricity. Well, it's a good
No,
natural-
because it does.
No, it does not. No, does not.
The way I understand it is that there's enough in the water that it'll close the gap, and you become less of a conduit.
Oh, maybe, yeah, it's not more conductive. Whatever, anyways, we have to do it because it's national code no matter where we are.
And a lot of people impact.
Yeah, whatever the reason is, I don't know.
And they can be
Unless
as
it's one of the
long as
divers or something.
That's kind of unadjustable. As longer as the hazards
Yeah.
vessel prepared to plug that in, you can't just, jerry rig up some
No,
be set up and then line the harbor.
that just kind of reminded me though that Petersburg, when they did theirs, they had this problem. And there's a box that the harbor has. Someone new comes in or whatever, and they have a problem, you go down and find out why. Plug it in, yep, you're not wired correctly with the GFCI system.
Let me get anything back.
Yeah. Right, yeah, I just thought of that.
And we
I don't think
do,
it matters what you use.
yeah. So maybe something if while you're talking to stall holders, well, how do I do that? Well, maybe we can't really recommend somebody, but I do know that guy that did the wiring on the Sentinel is very knowledgeable about that stuff, and I've already talked to him about installing one of those, and he's like, oh yeah, no problem, we're gonna do it in the spring. So, Eldon, he's in town. Eldon Mouse. No. Different. But, yeah, he's got the Glacier Custom Works.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so maybe, Dan or Paul Floyd, he knows how to do it too. But, so, there is some resources in town for folks to call if they have issues.
You could see the message.
Yeah.
Out to the
Anything else, anybody else, before we move on to, next item on the drawings or something that's jumping out at them? They want.
Miss anything, Colin?
Tony, do you want to talk about the county road, or is that on the?
Just, another drawing is just an alternative drawing, as most you have mentioned before, you don't like the idea. It's a little bit, yeah. And then you lose your teeth out, yeah.
Yeah. And, I don't really like it at all.
Yeah, we went over, we figured what they gave it to us,
Right.
we just want to get 2 extra feet in various dimensions, so we want to give you a chance to look at it.
I think what it does, it makes it easy for both sides of the slip.
Less than 90 degrees, whereas the current set of on more than 90 degrees. Or like 70 degrees, yeah.
This one makes it easy to pull in.
This one here, you're on here, flow, it's flow, same flow,
Well, yeah, that's what they mentioned in it, is what they were going to do. There are pros and cons on either way, I mean. I know
It's
the
harder to
winter,
get in
maybe
this year, you know.
Yeah, you get back up.
It's nice to have everybody lined up to the window. It's just,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
These guys seem real agreeable with stuff. They're just bringing the stuff forward.
They just want to give us another idea.
We're bringing, you know, tonight's going to go, yeah, sure, we'll put it out, pencil it out, and see what works.
So this is AGD engineering. Grant Marinas.
They have their own engineers and everything.
That's part of their
Yeah.
road.
They work closely with Grant on a regular basis.
Okay. Is anybody opposed to moving on to, number 6? Number 6. Like Tommy and Mike.
Move to close nomination.
Well, do they know? Show up for an election. That's agreed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to open election of chair and vice chair.
Second.
I'd like to nominate Mike. Chair of the meetings. And, vice chair.
Who do we have now as vice chair? Nomination for Mike.
Back.
Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate him.
Initially, here because I thought they might lead the discussion, but they can't make motions and they can't push it. Always has to any sort of active expenditures. Okay.
We don't have vice chair yet.
I nominate Max. He's got the most money here.
When do you leave?
I know you did one.
This is
far as, on the commission. Like corporate knowledge.
Well, there were.
I've been here for 10 years, you've been here for 15.
Any other nominations?
Move to close nominations.
Second. Oh, you second.
Okay. Now we have elections.
However you want. Roll call vote, do you wanna just take an aye vote, or?
I always kind of hodgepodge the honors. I don't have my systems.
On the nomination for Andy as chair? Say aye, in favor?
Aye.
And I'm not supposed to vote.
Well, I
Just
nominated
Andy-
him, so.
Andy's here, so.
Okay, so on the nomination, for Mike as the chair, say aye.
Aye. 4 times.
So that would be a vote for Andy as the chair. So as vice chair.
We have one nomination.
Max as vice chair.
Aye.
Alright.
So now we're on to the.
The shipyard storage meeting. Yeah.
This pertains to during our South Harbor rebuild. What we're gonna do to get these people out of the water, or not out of the water, or whatever. I will tell you what I've had discussions with, Paul and I discussed this today, we discussed it a few times. There's no change. Look at it like, my opinion that if you offer a deal on storage, whether it's free or half off or whatever, you're gonna, in my opinion, you're gonna have a bunch of people that are gonna want to pull out, that don't need to be out, that could park other places, jumping into the city property. Also, the 30 folks we have down at the north ramp, you give them free, even though they're out of the water every winter anyways. And then the people that normally pull out the shipyard, you give them free too. You know, that normally pull out, we have, I can see what we're for right now. One of the people are the only ones that pull out. You get all these other ones that want to come out, the people that really just want to come out, will pay.
So my argument on that is if they're paying for a slip that doesn't exist, they want to keep it, and they can't park in it, I think that in that instance, you would let me agree. All the rest of the stuff you were saying, you could probably put in a document that said, this doesn't just mean you get to get pulled out for free. If you've got a place to park, you got to park. But like for guys that, when they pull cars out, they got, no place to park. Is probably wants to keep a slip. Well, now, so if you, on the flip side of that, if you don't want to keep your slip and don't want to pay that slip fee, well, the harbor, then you gotta pay
You've already paid. You've already paid.
for next year.
By July, you've already paid.
Okay, well, I'm paying for mine because I want to keep my slip.
Well, I agree. I mean, that is another thing that your bill has to be paid. You have to get it back or take yourself there.
Right, but if they give it up, they're getting yanked, then we have to pay the rent. You're saying they're all gonna have to pay
went with our rates, 3 months worth of monthly storage equals annual. It's already, by the time you come back in the water, efficiency will start till July, comes due, you've already used up more than one month. You're already picking up, right? I mean, I know it's a lot of money that if we give it away free, we're going to lose. If you just look at the file pickers down at North Rand, you're taking about $40,000 a year in storage down there.
I guess what I'm saying is it's not something you would normally have anyways for people to leave their boats in it all year. You just get their stall rent. So you're not losing anything. The fishermen are losing something. They're losing their slip. So that's my argument. Is that, I mean, everybody, you know, we're all good.
First of all, North Rand. Can we separate out North Rand and the shipyard?
Okay.
I think, again,
It's storage.
North Rand storage. That's been long term, that'll keep going. Those are
Yeah, I guess they're saying both there. I'm talking about the same.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I would like to just talk, I would say that we keep file pickers or trailer boats, encourage them to leave and make the space for the ones that have to be on the short lead or something like
Most
that.
you'll never sound true.
But shipyard there's two options that have been discussed. One is free, and the other is full price.
I mean, there's options between that too.
Right, well, that's what I'm just saying.
So,
is that a package deal
What I would like to propose is,
free.
if you're a non-trailable vessel that is displaced to the shipyard, and you want to park in the long-term storage area of the shipyard, not the electrical vessels, then we do the storage for free, but we don't discount the travel lift. Sitting on the ground, though. That's what I would like. But I will also want to say that if you want to park in the electrical pedestal side, then you better be paying more. Because there's going to be guys that want to get work done. And if you have somebody just sitting there, I mean, it's a constant problem down there already.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you're parking in the electrical spot, you got to pay that electrical rate whether you plug in or not. If you want an electrical spot.
I have to bus pull out. We don't do all kinds of work.
Well, they're come up, they can come with box.
Not being able to write it. So I can get behind and charge them for the pull, for picking them, put them back in the water, but I still, they should not have to pay rent if they're paid up on their swing. But I don't know what a sand boat pays. It's the same, like 30 some bucks a foot or something.
Yeah, it's $30.
How much is it?
Over 50.
It's $50 a foot. So I don't know. So you got a 50-foot boat.
I don't think we should discount the travel lifts. I don't think we should discount the Northville parking for trailable vessels. But if you've got somebody who normally keeps their boat in the water, and they're just going to have to go into long-term storage and get buried behind 3 other boats, and they have to do another boat until July, I don't know. I think there should be some consideration. Well, June,
You never know,
There was something I wanted to pick out. There was something I wanted to pick out about what you said, is that they're going to get displaced. And, because there will be people over here that might be able to go out of the water for the winter and would make more room for other people that can't due to their working or their good or some other issues that sit on the ground all the time. They can't slash up. So I wouldn't want to exclude those people well, I think that we're gonna need as much room in the north harbor as we can, and so whatever. I'm for offering this, your idea with no space charge, but they pay for full, travel fees, is full price if you're in like full,
Well, I know you only pay, it's $25 a day per cord. And
What I mean is that even if you have a stall, you're paying full price out there now.
yeah, if you're choosing to pull your boat out and work on it.
Well, you have no choice, once the harbor gets pulled out, you have to be, unless you're core fleet, then they're gonna make room for the sailors. You have to make their core fleet. You have to make room.
is everybody, in favor of some reuse rate?
I'm
Or
in favor
storage?
of, I like Kenny's idea of you charge them for pulling them. And if you're just storing them, if they're getting stored up,
They get stored for free.
they get
If
stored.
they're not.
If they're paid, if they're current with their slip.
Basically, you just pay the rent there for the stall.
That's
You're only paying for the stall, they're not paying
Right.
for it.
I mean, you can afford this. We need all the money we can to make this thing work, but we're behind anyways. But I do think that people will feel, put out if we charge full price on the land, full price for the, and their slip doesn't exist, they're gonna want a break.
I know they want.
I'm just saying.
I would too, I mean, I get it. But I also, let me throw this one out there. So we fill up the pedestal areas down there. 5 other people want to be at pedestals. I mean, now.
First come, first served.
Well, I think that's why,
We got.
I think honestly the shipyard policy needs to change, but that's another discussion we can have later. But I think that if you're in an electrical spot, you're paying for that pedestal, $25 a day. Your whole time you're there, whether you're plugged in or not, because you're taking up a spot for somebody else.
$25 a day more expensive.
Well, I can't, like right now, I can't haul my boat and go and work on it because there is no electrical pedestal spots left. So I've got to wait for somebody to go out, and meanwhile, you've got 9 guys who aren't even in town. They're off in Hawaii and their boat's sitting there. It's always been a frustration. No, they
So it's only
pay the same
$25 if your core
if
plugged
you
in?
plug in. And so you unplug your boat and you leave town, and you're the same as this long-term storage. There's no disincentive for taking up that electrical spot. So that's always been a frustration of mine down there. When I was working on the Sentinel, one time I had like 3 cords plugged in, and Tony told me, hey, it's $25 per cord, right? And I was like, oh shoot. So I went and rewired the whole boat to a 50-amp cord, so that all the, because it was like $75 a day is what I was paying. Because I didn't realize that I thought it was per boat, not per cord. But it's a big cost. $25 a day. It was like $10 grand in storage.
You get your work done, get out of
And
that.
I got my work done. I got out of it quick.
But now with the
So-
transporter, we can move you in and out of those spots cheaper.
Exactly.
Without having to pick the machine too, so it makes those spots more useful.
And during this project, when the shipyard's full, if somebody does want to get work done, those spots are going to be worth a premium. I mean, they are right now. They're full right
How
now.
many spots are there?
It's like 16 electrical spots or something.
10 or 12, with the trailer maybe more.
Yeah.
But then you don't have the pedestal capacity. Because, I mean, we're gonna have to stick people in pedestal, whether they want to or not. Really, because we're gonna have to put 50, 60 boats on there compared to 30, 40. So, that's why I'm kind of, maybe people that don't want to be there, but they.
Well, maybe it's not a good idea to implement that yet, but like I said, it might be something for after
It
this
should be a
project.
different charge, don't disagree. Especially during normal times.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with that. We've talked that.
and maybe $25 a day is too much for if you're charging everybody every day. Maybe if you charge everybody every day, that charge could come down to like $15 a day, but we're still making more revenue and still. I mean, we've talked about getting
Behind the office?
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
but we haven't gotten done yet.
Okay, the changes we talked about for this are time sensitive. This discussion, shipyard storage fees, we're not up against anything right away, right?
Not right away. I would like to bring up though, how do you include the buffers?
Most guys have trailers. I don't know anybody that doesn't have trailers. They're just gonna pull their own boat, stick it in their yard unless they're cork laying RV, and you gotta stick it in the.
You say we want more storage.
Campground. I guess some people probably can't put their boat in their house.
I can't have two.
People pulling it up that road.
That would be
Actually
really,
going
really
back down the
exciting.
hill.
Yeah.
So,
That's up to you, Tony. You'll be the bad guy, and we're in the clear.
I mean, I would say that if you have more spaces available for outfitters to park and people that can get their trailer in their spot, but not with a boat on it or something like that, I just don't see that being a huge number of people, and that it won't be that we won't fill up with all people for that parking spot over there. I don't think you were talking next to the camper park.
We also have to ask about Taco, that whole area. I guess it's no known to nowhere, but
Right,
That would be used for the harbor.
true.
Though.
right, that's what we're looking at, is that lay down areas for equipment and pieces and parts. We're gonna consider our big parking lot probably part of that. And so they're gonna come and visit probably next month. Determine that.
They're gonna.
Does somebody own, the city own that land between your shop and Bob?
The recycle yard and
You can put bucket boats there.
yeah, but that's what we're just saying. They're gonna need
But
it.
Yeah, they're
just put the snow on the front.
Construction's gonna need that area.
Oh, I thought you were talking about across where Baja's at, where the people park their boats. By the 3-stage. That's not what you were talking about. You're talking about over by your shop.
We're talking about that whole area. It's probably all the spaces that we have available down in that area. I don't think
They're gonna be offloading and putting all the boats and everything.
That'd be busy.
it's busy.
Right, and I figured that would be right where the ramp is at, though, right?
Yeah, and then materials, I'm guessing, I don't know. Yeah, they're allowed a big parking lot.
They got like boats, parking for
Yeah.
boats, campground, and right over here, so nothing would be, over at the east parking lot, Baja and all that, that's all they have. So there's city parking up here for trailer boats, I think here.
Where's that?
25.
You mean the north?
Northville.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was another spot though, that we looked at, that, you have that. So I think they have like 47 spots for the campground and another patch of city land.
You mean the old salty steer lot?
No, not there. Nothing.
No, there was another, we'll bring a graphic next time.
That, I mean, that was one of them, the Northville ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're feeling more thing, what are we gonna do with the houseboats?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The boathouses that are in the harbor are okay. The ones that are just barely fit are. They'll stay out. They certainly won't be an issue now, but they have been in for a couple of years. They don't really fit in the harbor too basically, you want to go there, so, I don't think those will be a problem, but these ones that we have in the harbor now are smaller. They will.
Weight a little bit. He's not real wide, it just weighs roof overhang. We put them in there.
They're not.
No, they're really not.
But, I think what you guys are talking about sounds to me like we'll have enough places with top figures. Because. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys have rooms. You gotta pull them out, get the grass off, and clean things. Everybody has to do that. I'm gonna stay in the harbor. I'll load my trailer.
So your consensus is that all the officers is free?
No, you didn't say that. Not on the long-term slips that people are already running. I think that's the same price as it always has been.
But if we put them somewhere else,
We're rebuilding the harbor.
As long as
Go
they're
back.
carrying out their slip, as long as they pay us per slip, that's just an idea. I mean, you're the boss, so.
I think only if they're being displaced too.
Right.
You know, if somebody in the North Harbor that wants a free place to
Well,
work.
we wouldn't mind getting as many boats out of the North Harbor as we can, so I don't think.
You gotta have room though. The important ones are the ones that are getting displaced. Then, if there's still some place left, then those guys can, you know what I mean? Do you think you get enough room?
They built that harbor, they put boats somewhere.
yeah, but that was easy, that's only 200 stalls. If we got 500 of this,
Yeah,
it's
that
like easy to go over there.
We have open space.
Right.
Okay, well, we touched on it. I think we've got a couple of things that, we can work on next time. You guys just see the drawings of where places are, I guess, where that came up.
For next meeting, I would like to see us hammer out that policy, but then also some sort of a policy / guideline for the harbor staff on how they divvy out the new stalls, or, you know, priority, who gets to keep their stall, well, you know. I'd like to see us come up with that, because there's been a lot of people asking. You know, so if we want to have, if you pay for your stall, you get that same stall back as close as we can.
That's done.
You know, but I just want to have it written out somewhere, so that way it's a done deal, approved by our commission. And, yeah.
As close as we can get.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine why you wouldn't get it back.
Yeah.
But we are.
Well,
We're losing those small stalls, we're
Right.
gaining.
That took about 20 stalls, 30 stalls out of it.
We're gaining
We never use them.
useful stalls.
Because think of age, there's 3 stalls out there, 6 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion.
I'd just like to see us come up with some sort of a written guideline or policy for it, so that way when people ask, it's, this is what the Harbor Commission decided, and that kind of takes the heat off of Tony too.
We sent out the letter already, but I don't know that it has that in there, but I agree that it should be, you know, that's that question.
Yeah, we're gonna problem more.
I think it did not, that's what it addressed was, we're gonna find room for it. Don't be worried about, you know.
Tier 2 rules not story.
Well, tier 2
And you
doesn't have
talked
to
to
be the
Kelsey
harbor.
about the number of boats per, yeah, so it's not insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean,
Tier
sometimes
two.
you like I have to have Wilson in water, or pull me out of the water.
Tier two saners.
That's the issue with tier two trainers. Kelsey's gonna talk to her today, she's gonna talk to LES about that. Some way we're gonna put only 25 tier two trainers in the water. So, no matter what we do. Oh,
For spring training.
no, just in emergency.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
event.
Spring,
You
spring
swallow the
training,
ocean,
I
you
would-
gotta give back to the water for the spill. Not gonna do it 24 hours.
No.
That's what I would.
We're lucky we can do suicide, especially since they're gonna be packed in there.
It's what we get all the water. If you have enough water, big enough bags of better.
Yeah. We'll work on clock, we have them for emergency, we'll work on clock.
Well, I think they kind of frown on those guys driving tankers drunk anymore, so probably won't be much of
Well,
that.
now the pilot boat will be something different. I like the pilot boat.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, hit a rock, Tommy hit a rock. I think other tankers hit a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they didn't pick up anything. But yeah, yeah, no problem.
Okay,
Alright, what I got out of that is everything's free.
everything's free.
Except the tank. Put back in the water.
It's not free, I already paid for the stall.
It's not free.
You got the gist of it, though.
Yes, we'll discuss this more.
Bring it back. Okay. We are- Yes, sir. Comments the next meeting? I think, next program is going to just to make sure we got it right, so. We've got drive down flow, the orientational call, plan. Pedestals on the drive down flow, we want to move those, so we want to protect less in the way. I guess maximize the open area, I think is what Kenny's getting at there, and I just got it. Additional flows on K and J.
Yeah, just a, but also.
Piling placement, upwind versus downwind. Can we move them? Should we move them? Okay. H9 piles on the T's, bigger vessels, upsize the pilings,
Yeah, upsize or add.
upsize or add.
I think it was just one.
I thought it was just one, yeah, just
One with the X.
Yeah, well, we talked, that you could put two right at the head of the dock there,
They might have.
but,
Yeah, just make sure they're aware that we want to park a
They need
big
to
variance grabber right in there.
right.
the queuing dock, the queuing space for the drive down, can we shorten it? As part of the drive down flow. Lengthen the queuing space?
That's the approach.
Approach.
Oh,
Yeah, if you lengthen it so we don't have to make the road down longer.
Want to make that longer.
Well, just whichever one's cheaper. Like if it cost, you said it was very expensive to make the ride down longer. If it's a little bit cheaper to leave that.
yeah, I don't know, I didn't see that as a making it shorter, I think it was just part of the discussion.
So just lengthen.
I wrote down a very small up versus bridge line.
Which would be,
Yeah, it's actually shorter, longer. At the ramp or cart blocks along something to better get the carts down there smoother on the gateways.
Yeah, you know, the,
Yeah.
there's a little.
Yeah, those are only gonna be on one side.
the cleats were just a little bit shorter than the cart would go
These are
up.
gonna be wider.
The treads are narrower to fit through the
Oh,
carts.
gotcha. Well, you can plug it.
The gangway's gonna be wider as it is.
Yeah, as long as the cart just doesn't go through.
Yeah, you got cart
And it
space.
beats up the parts too.
We may not even have those straps. They're gonna be ADA compliant. So the shortest one is 60 feet. Oh yeah, but it's that.
It's a super cheap right here.
Yeah. But we'll just look at it and see where we go with it. We'll last time, but yeah, keep it short, got it. On days.
And we've got check on the minimum number of handicap stalls and where they're placed. Just have blocks of handicap stalls.
Meet cars.
For parking, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Parking handicap stalls.
Yeah.
We put it down on the ramp or wherever. How they're distributed, just to make sure we understand what the law is. That's additional electrical outlet, so, and potable water on the two ramp. GFCI issue.
And Grand Trestle,
Yeah, so, yeah, I think that's.
meeting area.
Yeah, that's. So.
Right here.
Well,
for putting the supply here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Right here.
You just got test wings on it, GFCI,
Here.
go to users, with T-piles, wide piles of places where they are.
Right.
And then
That's why we're talking about.
once again, the handicap spots we're talking about are handicap spots. Right?
Yes, okay. But why are they there?
Right, yeah, no, I guess
Just
that.
put them down.
I didn't know because there is handicap. That's
Yeah, we put one on the other side here.
We have handicap customers.
required you by law. But Kenny was mentioned that he said he thought it said vessels that it has to be handicap slips. They can be anywhere. They do not need to be. They just need to have a certain width, which these are, and then if it has a bull rail, it has to be removable beyond those. So like the bigger floats that will have bull rails, those do not have to be. Yeah, I didn't know about this until I talked to Homer, and they were like, "Yeah, make sure they do that." I was like, "What are you talking? Send me the link." Yep, you are required. But it's only like 5 to 7. And they don't need to be left open. They can just stop. Right.
Park somebody else in.
Yep. First come, first served. They gotta be on each one.
He interrupts you, Colin.
No, I think I got it. Does that sound like I got everything?
It did seem like we got it.
And then we've got the storage issue to work on.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful of, well, instead of commission comments. So we can hold on.
And I do want to bring up one that we discussed this today. What is your opinion on pedestals on G-flow on the transit side? We have no pedestals there now. My thought was no, but I mean, I don't.
They're gonna have a meter, right? Like right now, I have a meter.
But it's something we'll have to take care of. Won't be something.
No, that's a pain because you come to the shower and there's other people.
Yeah.
If you have a transient that wants electrical, put it on the transient.
Yeah, we only.
That's not good.
Yeah, no,
It is transient.
start putting pedestals, more money of course, but also now you've got another place you can't.
Well, then you have space.
Go straight up and more maintenance and tracking it all the time. Someone's gonna find a way to get into it. The electric company can, but I don't know how that will work with us. Their meters will do something.
I think it's an added complication to cost.
Sounds good.
We got rid of the 3-phase, right? 3-phase of the dock.
Running, remember it was cheaper to run 3 days down. I'll have to double check on that. talked about how it's cheaper to run it down and then step it down to the. I will, note.
Unless they wanted to run 3 down and then drop off one for the number and then drop off. That would cost.
As long as
It's still the same hertz, it wouldn't matter.
You got it.
Krista, I'll start with you for your comments.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, that's fine.
No.
I think I talked to Tom already.
Well, I appreciate everybody working on this, and you guys put in a lot of time trying to go through all these options, and I'm sure we'll have more of that. I'm sure we'll make everybody happy. But we can do the best we can at the time, that's all we can do. Yeah, thanks for especially Ken bringing out lots of time. Those ideas, appreciate it.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was a good meeting, and around the one that I did, I never crossed my mind to worry about, so. As far as we can get it done without costing too much more or even less, start changing things, that's also the price. They don't want to engineer this many different times, it's once. Maybe next week we get more information on some of that stuff.
Next meeting, January, what is that?
January.
January 11th. Thank you.
No.
Not yet.
I will be gone in February from the 5th through the 14th.
I'll be on Tuesday. I leave tomorrow at 5 a.m. on Thursday. I'll be back Tuesday.
Roll around with the selection.
Well, good having it around.
I was here, yeah, said that too.
You gotta go to it one way. That's like
Florida license one lane.
Yeah,
Half the main roads in Anchorage are one lane roads. So
Yeah.
That's a little interesting driving.
Is that a week? Another 2 weeks, and I'll have a hammer, so.
We're supposed to have a meeting on Friday.
It's all right. Your shoulder will get to work out with the shovel.
I was up there last time.
We moved to adjourn, correct?
We did. We moved to adjourn.
And the second, and we adjourned.
Good.
All right.
Thank you. We've got our January 11th, our next date.
Took the Kingdom Hurry.
Well, are they open till 9?
We only served till 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Last call today.
Oh,
Good job, everyone.
That was my
We had plans, didn't you? See you guys. Thanks, Colin.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.
So you have your last call is at 8.